Okay, this is just a little bit of a piece for the puzzle of the people who want to talk about lunar Shabbat and all these other Shabbat deals. Let's understand that we have the example of Genesis chapter 1. Genesis chapter 1 says that he counted 6 days and rested on the seventh one. By the way, the sun and the moon don't show up until day 4. That already messes up the lunar Sabbath guys doing it based on lunar cycles because we're not mentioning them until day 4. So now the Sabbath is actually the 3rd day after that. That's a problem. Okay? Now, I know you're nodding your head, but it's a problem. Now, well, let's go and just deal with this in a much more serious way. Can we all agree that Yeshua kept the Sabbath correctly? Okay, can we all agree that he kept it with the Jewish brothers? So then is it logical and reasonable to guess that the Jews kept it correctly in Yeshua's day? Is that a reasonable jump? Yeshua kept it correctly. He kept it with the Jews, so therefore the Jews kept it correctly. We also don't see him correcting them on it at all. Right? He never scolds them and says they're doing it wrong. So now what we need to say that they changed anything is to show me in the last 2,000 years where they changed it from counting it according to the moon to counting it according to a 7-day count. Because I don't see that anywhere. So, and I've challenged all the other lunar Sabbath people to come up with it, and they can't. It's not there. The Jews have died for their Saturday Sabbath over and over and over again in the last 2,000 years. I don't see any evidence that they ever moved it. So you don't have to take me to books like showing me something happened with, let's say, David and Jonathan, or something was waiting for the moon to change so that the Sabbath and counting. You can't, those verses are not relevant to this. The most relevance is the actual practice. Yeshua endorses the Jews were right. So show me when they changed. That's my challenge. That's my gauntlet I'm throwing out to all the lunar Sabbatarians. Show me when the Jews moved from counting according to the lunar cycle to counting according to a 7-day, just a mechanical 7-day count. Because he says, just like creation week, which was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Shabbat, that's what we have today, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Shabbat. With the lunar, by the way, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Shabbat 4 times, and then you got an extra day or 2 here or there for the dark moon. That throws your count off completely. I don't see that in creation week. The Shabbat points to creation week. It doesn't point to 1 Kings or 2 Kings or 1 Samuel or 2 Samuel or some other prophet. It says, just like when Yahweh created the heavens and the earth, this is pointing to creation week. So let's just be careful with these things that want to come up and that people want to come up with. The Jews, again, also in Genesis, we're told they have the oracles, that the lawgiver is coming from between their feet. As Paul mentions that they have the oracles. But Genesis tells us that there will not be, but there will always be a lawgiver coming from between their feet. They're there to make sure we know these things, to protect these things. Oh, but they didn't always have an 8-day week. That's right. A 7-day week. Sometimes they had an 8 or 9 or 10-day week, whatever the Romans and whoever else was in charge did. They had a 7-day count. And that 7-day count has been maintained. And if you can show me otherwise, great. Show me in the last 2,000 years the documentation that the Jewish community moved the Sabbath and made that change.